They got a trend going on in America right now. It's trending. It's called black fatigue. And I'm gonna do some videos about on that in the coming days. But to give just a little prologue of what black fatigue is, America tired of the ghetto-ness of black people. Everywhere that they go, they fight. If they not fighting, they twerking. If they not twerking, they playing the race card. It's always something with these people. Now I took a few notes, man. How I'm gonna start out with. I'm gonna play the exhibit and I'm gonna end with my commentary. But people sick and tired of them, man. And you know this Austin Metcalf situation. It had me very afraid, and not afraid like spooky. But it had. I'm not even gonna use the word afraid. It had me very worried because it showed a part of a black America, and it kind of like it was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back on a lot of other races, especially. Well, I ain't gonna say especially, but even us civilized blacks that's trying to be part of the solution and not the problem. And that was when this dude, Carmelo Anthony, was getting praised, financed. Almost $500,000 was raised for him for not doing something right. Not because he killed a white boy. But that's not it. You actually had black people. You actually had black people pick up a cell phone. The people who love crying about racism and the white man is the white. They picked up cell phones, went live, made videos, uploaded them across social media, bragging, saying that's good for the white boy. And then they say to themselves, they wonder why certain stuff older people. No, people not racist. People not racist. They don't want you working at their job. And like I say, you got to catch part one because I spoke a lot about this. These people don't want y'all around them, man. They not like y'all to the point where they gonna get in the streets. And they got some of them that is. But these other races of people, that's not. They do everything diplomatically, systematically. This is why certain people black, and it's hurt everybody. And this is why the blacks that's on my level, because I ain't gonna lie, I was a part of the problem at one time. I'm rehabilitated. I'm saved. I'm sanctified. I'm not perfect, but once I came to God in 2018, He showed me right then and there immediately the black community and that culture that you were part of. That's not of me. That's a devil himself. And you need to speak on it because you come from it. Who better to speak on it but somebody who come from it and rehabilitate it? And if I could do it, anybody can do it. And so I begin to see things, and it's crazy, man, how when you get the Holy Spirit in your life, the things you will begin to see that you never was seeing all before, and they've been in your face. The fact that we are part of a community that children get killed almost every day from stray bullets during shootouts while they were just in their grandmother's house on the iPad. Black men are killing black men like flies. Even black men are killing black women like flies. In some cases, the black women are killing the black men. We have a homicide epidemic within the black community, and there's nobody talking about it. But the minute something happened to us by the hands of a cop or a white person, all hell break loose. And everybody is seeing all this. They laughing at us. And then y'all have situations like this where it's a black man kills a white boy. Y'all side with the white boy. Y'all side with him. Justify, praise, support. That was the straw that broke a lot of camels' back. And that's when you start hearing all of a sudden now the trending phrase, black fatigue. People are tired and they're speaking up. They don't care anymore. Because see, these other races, they're not highly emotional. See, black people have a very low emotional IQ. We can't hide our stuff, and most of the time it comes out violent. These other people, they're about the bottom line. They play systematic games. We're going to stop hiring those people. Then you ain't even got DEI to protect you now. We're going to stop. So this is why I speak on the situation, because there's people out here who black, that's not a part of that. That might have had, there's people out here who black, who might have was a part of it, but they changed, and now they got to fall, they got to suffer for y'all. And even black people that's in positions of power, they don't want to help because, hey, they know their own people more than anybody. And if they stick themselves out on the limb for you, and you ruin their good name with the nigga nonsense. So black people is pretty much doomed at this point. Besides the one that's of God, because, you know, God got us. But it just doesn't make sense. And and like I tell people all the time, I'm almost 40. And people that's my age and older, they gotta figure, they haven't figured it out yet, that's on them. I'm focused on the youth. Because see, they gonna have to deal with our because of the stuff that we did and our generation before us did, they gonna have to deal with that. Because those people who got black fatigue, they got children. And even those liberal whites and liberal people of other races that play like they love you, black man and black woman, they don't want you around them. They don't want you staying in their neighborhood, at their apartment complexes, working for their job, their companies. And this is what a systematic game coming at. And it's not racism. It's it's called you being dumb and I don't want you around me ism. And people wonder why you see all these rappers, all the people that they surrounded by as white people. I'm talking about business wise. Now they had a little thug partners, you know, for bodyguard. I'm saying when you talk about publicists, they agents, all these people are white. You know why that is? Because nobody know black people more than black people. So let's go back what I say. The black people so doomed because they own people that get in position don't want to deal with them because they know how they operate. And when y'all getting them, but like I say, this last situation with the camera that broke this was the straw that broke the camera back, and it's getting worse. So the race war that people talking about and saying, oh, it's going to end up being a race war, I doubt if it was to get to a blood type, hit the streets type situation, which is, of course, we can't win that either. But they play systematic games because they run the world. Because, see, they understand how to stick together even if they don't get along for the bottom line. We can't do that for nothing. We have no unity. And that's the number one reason why we couldn't win on no type of level. Because it ain't that we don't have the capital. We got the funding. We got the black dollar is $1 trillion business. We spend it on hair, jewelry, designer. But we got money. But we don't want to spend it with each other. Like I said, I spoke a lot about it. I covered a lot of that in part one of this series, in part one of this volume. But I'm going to get into this, man. I wrote some notes. I want to read these notes, man. And after that, I'm going to play these exhibits. And of course, I'll chime in during the videos. But you know, I wrote this and I said, you know, if the black race as a whole in America is ever to be fixed, it must begin with a cultural separation within the race. Black Americans must openly separate ourselves from the ghetto nigger African Americans. We have to finally view ourselves as a different culture than them. Point blank, period. If we don't do that, the ghetto African Americans will do nothing but destroy us right along with themselves. As I always say, be reformed or be removed. That's the mindset that we have to move forward with. There's no serious path to unity with a demonic, dumbed down, and demoralized, degenerate group of people who are determined to burn down the world around them unless you are an equal degenerate. We can't live with them. We can't protect them. And we certainly, most certainly, please, this for my black men, we cannot breed with them. We must finally gain the courage to turn our backs on them. There's no such thing as strength in numbers when it comes to ghetto African Americans. Niggas. There's only weakness in them and their culture because that is an identity that they have chosen to embrace. They make us a weak race in America, a laugh that race in America, a race that is everyday ridicule. That is truly the only purpose they serve at this point. Now I'm gonna get into this video, man, and just look at the evil in these women, man. Look at the evil misery in them when they speak.
Metcalf got exactly what he deserved. Point blank, period.
No, he didn't. But let's see what else she has to say.
It's time out for feeling sorry for somebody's feelings or feeling emotional about somebody's feelings. Austin Metcalf should have kept his damn hands to himself.
She also said this.
Hands to himself. When the young man told him, touch me and see, you bet not touch me, that meant that I don't want you in my space.
And as you can hear from this woman's accent, because I'm from Louisiana, you know where this woman from? Guess where she from? New Orleans. And we already know what they got going on out there. Those men out there, I got friends. They die every day out there. They dropping like flies out there. You won't see this woman speak about that. I can guarantee it.
I don't want you touching me. Rosa Parks days is over. You cannot think that you can move somebody out of a seat that you don't own.
And there's the key. It's about race. She's very likely supporting Carmelo because he's black, and she's against Austin because he's white. This had nothing to do with Rosa Parks. She made an unnecessary comparison to make this about race. Again, that's an insight. In her mind, this is a racial issue, and she's going to side with the people who have the same skin color as she does. That is my opinion, and it's sad. But let's talk about it a little bit more.
No, that's a fact, Jeff. That's a fact. They worship being black no matter what, right or wrong. If it's black, it's right. Over what God say. This is how these people coming. There's no help for them.
She says you can't tell people to get out of a seat that you don't own. Well, for one, Carmelo wasn't under his own team's tent. He was under Austin Metcalf's team's tent. Let's think about this. One, he's under another team's tent. Probably shouldn't be there to begin with. Second thing, he has a knife on school property. Also very likely a crime. Should have never had the knife with him to begin with. And rather than just getting up and leaving, he said, touch me and let's see what happens, or whatever he said. Kind of inviting conflict. So then, rather than responding with equal force, he decides to stab someone in the chest at a track meet with a knife. If the roles were reversed, this woman would not be saying the things she's saying. This woman and many others like her would very likely be saying that stabbing was unnecessary. All he did is put his hands on him. He could have at least fought back, but he didn't have to stab him. They'd be saying, well, and it's because he's black that he stabbed him. They'd be making it about race again. And this is part of the problem that I'm talking about. There are many black Americans that have this unrelenting loyalty to being black, no matter how in the wrong we are. Did Austin Metcalf do everything perfectly? No, I'm not saying that. But many of us are going to ignore the fact that Carmelo was under another team's tent, brought a knife on school property, and then used it prematurely. Yeah, he's in the wrong in a multitude of different ways. If he would have been obeying the law and never had that knife with him, we wouldn't even really be talking about this. You can't talk about that. We can't hold ourselves accountable because we got to battle those white people. It's pathetic. And this is truly one of our problems. Again, this unrelenting loyalty to being black. You don't have to side with someone because they have your skin color. It is okay to say, yeah, that probably wasn't the best move. Yeah, he probably went a little bit too far there. That is okay. That is what a mature and rational person does. But it's just crazy to watch these people bend over backwards to defend what he did. No, he wasn't in the right. He shouldn't have done it. But they're going to try to justify it and make it a racial issue and try to defend him simply because he's black. It's a problem.
Is to be honest with you?
Now look at this woman. I don't even really have to get off into what she got going on. Hopefully nobody has inseminated her and they call it her mom. Look at this woman, man. And these are the type of people that we must leave behind, man. They gonna destroy themselves. You don't have to do them. They gonna destroy themselves. They do it every day. This woman probably has multiple drug habits, may have disease. I don't know what she got going on, but you can look at her and she tell you a story. Not only the way she look, but the way she talking, her whole spirit, her whole vibe tell you she got all kind of stuff going on with her. And this is the woman who you'll see arguing loud, ghetto, twerking, fighting. This is the woman who precedes you, black woman. And all you black women out there who, again, as I mentioned in the part one of this series, who y'all want to play the gray area because you don't want to be ousted at, I don't want to be a coon. If I start speaking against the black women in my community, my family and all that, you must not care about that at this point, black women. Because guess what? You may be a civilized black queen, and this is who they see when they see you. This trout mouth, this is who they see when they see you. And it's the same one who would be on social media when she go get a job, smelling like weed and whatever she got going on. And they say, well, man, you can't come. This is the woman who will be on social media doing the same thing, hollering, talking about they racist, probably will try to fight them and then have to get the police to escort out of it, and they'll be racist too. This is who that individual is. And she's on the phone talking. And because she's saying something that's going against white men, nothing but black people will follow and support her. But let me let her embarrass herself.
I blame all their motherfucking parents for not teaching him not to bully and mistreat people just because they skin color. Okay? We wouldn't even be having this conversation if y'all didn't push that white privilege shit on your son. And you clearly see that they've been bothering that boy for him to be walking around with a pocket knife. They had to be bullying him, and he was tired of that shit. People get tired of being bullied. You think kids just walk around with pocket knives for nothing? No, he was tired of Austin ass fucking with.
I haven't seen any proof that this was due to race. But what do I see? A bunch of ignorant people that look like me coming out here and ignorantly defending Carmelo simply because he's black. And what card do we always resort to? It's racism. It's white privilege. It's because they're racist. Many black Americans are behind. Many of us spend a bunch of our time in the corner fighting this invisible boogeyman of racism. This was not a racial issue, but we're going to try to find a way to make it into one. And on top of that, we're going to defend Carmelo no matter how wrong he was because he's black. Black Americans as a whole, we have a problem with accountability. Carmelo likely should not have been under another school's tent. In addition to that, he should not have had a knife with him on campus. And on top of that, if he wasn't going to leave, he should have responded equally with his hands, not a knife. And I'm actually going to say this. This mentality and this lack of accountability is what contributes to things like this happening. Because black people are going to gather behind him and they're going to raise money and they're going to defend him no matter how wrong he was. And what this does is it creates a psychology that this type of behavior is okay, when it's not. He is likely going to do jail time as a result of this. And black Americans as a whole, because we have this unrelenting loyalty to being black, we continue to enable behavior that actually harms us and harms the people around us. But we're too busy being pro-black and focused on being black and not taking self-accountability to realize it. And this creator doesn't know why he brought the knife, but she's going to find a way to defend him and justify him bringing a knife. No, you shouldn't have the knife at school or at the track meet. And if you had it, you definitely shouldn't have used it in that scenario. But again, as I've said, black Americans' lack of accountability will continue to contribute to things like this happening. This wasn't about race, and black people coming out here and simply defending this man because he's black is goofy. Crazy we don't see this.
But what if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense because if you...
Now, this was the third part of this series that I was going to do in conclusion of what's going to come out of that when he go to court. I'm telling you, I've been in these type of situations before. I know how this going to turn out. So I'm going to let Charleston White. Now, Charleston White, he's one of those brothers like Umar Johnson who I call a broke clock. You know, a broken clock is right 2 times a day. Now, these two brothers, they not right 2 times a day, but they right every blue moon. And it's and the right, but the foolishness that they do override the right. And not so much as foolishness in Dr. Umar, it's just the victim mindset stuff he with and the black worship. That's what overrides the truth that he said. And this man here that said all kind of stuff about how he bragged about raping white girls and, you know, how he just a toe up individual, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if that's a character, if that's just his character, and that's not really who he is in real life, but still, I'm not going to perpetuate that type of character to the world, especially as a black man, knowing how the world already feel about me, because we've earned that. I'm not coming off as a victim. The way the world look at us, the black fatigue, we earn that. We earn that with our chest out, right? So I would never come off like him or be cursing and talking all crazy like that. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even play a character like that for material gain. It's not worth it. I got, I got a family. I don't got no children, but I got a mother and I got siblings and nephews. I never had them looking bad and embarrassed because I'm acting the way he act. You know what I'm saying? This dude is just. But again, every now and then he have something right in what he's saying about this because he was in a situation that was kind of close to this situation where somebody lost their life as he was a teenager. So he giving insight, but he also from Texas. He know the law. The brother is intelligent, right? But he all about view. But anyway, that's another story for another day. I'm gonna let him finish. He gonna say something on his show. And then like I say, because this the conclusion of what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen. What is gonna be the end game of this Austin Metcalf Carmelo Anthony situation.
Or afraid the day before, where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notified.
But what if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense because if you are afraid the day before, where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notified the school teacher. School teacher that's bringing these kids in here and resolve this issue is called conflict resolution. We was taught in homes that has morals and values, you tell the teacher. Somebody fucking with you, you tell the teacher. Let the teacher know so when y'all have an altercation, you're cleared and you're covered. Documentation beats conversation. So where's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds. There's going to always be one bird to come in and take the food from the... This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's going to be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence.
Yeah, that is the problem, though. That's
and of course, I've addressed that in a lot of videos. Why? As a matter of fact, in part one of this volume, I address why. The reason why in the black community, because this is what we see. This is what's gangster. It's gangster. It's cool to be gangster. Shoot people, kill people, fight. The energy is all. It's just an angry energy, in our community that's perpetuated by the music. Most of us is raised in single parent household where the mother is overbearing with work. It's just, I don't know what it's like, but I can imagine what it's like. I done dated women. To be a woman, first of all, a woman is not put here to bear the burden of life, meaning bills, family, kids on her own. That's not her. That's not what she was put here for, right? She's put here to be a helpmeet to the man. So when she's in these situations because of her bad decisions, it's too much for her. This is why majority, and I would say 90% of black women are on some form of antidepressant, some form of marijuana, liquor. Every day they have to have these things just to cope with living the life that they chose, right? And again, as I said in my last video, I give black women a 25% piece of the pie of what's going on in black America, and the black man, he gets 75%. I'm not picking at black women. I love my black women, but I'm saying this is their situation. And so they're angry. They work all these hours. Then they got to come home and they got to take on the world. Because again, they picked the wrong man. That's why they get 25% of the blame. And they just angry. And so what happens is they project that on the children, right? They project that on the children. They deal with all these different dudes who really just want to have sex with them. And even the dudes who really try to love on them. Cause I done tried it. They just so angry. They don't even they can't even let you love on them right. You know what I'm saying? Cause they just so angry. Their spirits are in disarray, right? Some of them mess with multiple men. They got all these men's spirits in them from letting them inseminate them. And even if they don't inseminate them, they use condoms. Having sex is spiritual. It's physical. It feels good physically. But it also is a spiritual exchange. Y'all exchanging spirits, but the woman is a receiver by nature. So anytime she's having sex with multiple men, or if it's one man and he got a lot of spirits and demons on him, those spirits and demons go up in her. And these women love these thug dudes who in and out of prison. They got all kind of spirits on them, and they share with the woman. And then now she steady fight with this man in and out the house, fighting with him and all the toxicity that goes on in these black relationships. The children, believe it or not, they get a piece of that because they watch their mama fight with dudes, and just that whole spirit of fight and toxic is in the house with them. So it's infecting their pure spirits. And so it's just a bunch of anger. And then the music do not help. The music just pushes you completely over the edge to go kill somebody, to go fight somebody, to go hurt somebody. So this is why they so angry like this, and this is why they act like this. You know what I'm saying? And and that's the reason why. So that's why the black culture pushes that. That's all the black culture stand for, because of the reasons I just listed.
Calf, you see the boy in Frisco stabbed to death by Carmelo Anthony?
Yeah. My heart goes out to the family. They trying to make this a race issue, and this is a right or wrong issue.
Okay. So real quick, I like where you're going on this, because I'm not even trying to race bait or anything. People are making this about black and white. You see that they're trying to make this kind of like a Trayvon Martin kind of, they're talking about it. But where do you?
It is. Trayvon Martin was an angry black kid that had to be sent to his father because he lacked discipline, grew up in a home with his single mother. Any well-behaved kid with manners that had respect of adults, once George Zimmerman approached him, whether he's right or wrong, as a child, this is an adult. You get off the phone with that fat-ass girlfriend you trying to fuck, you call your dad and say, hey, Dad, it's an adult around here that just stopped me. He says he's calling the police. Rather than doing that, he had an attitude, because as young black males in this country, we have an authority problem because we're walking around angry, displaced from our father's issue, but we resent our mothers.
That's true.
So we're a ticking time bomb. And Trayvon Martin could fight. So that's why I say you be careful approaching some of these young kids. What a 13-year-old will kick a 40-year-old's ass.
That's true.
And that's what happened in that situation. He underestimated this kid, and he was looking for trouble. But by law, he was right. And he was judged by his peers. So we can't say nothing once you're judged by your peers.
Well, what do you think's going to happen in this Austin Metcalf thing? You think he's
Metcalf had to go, well, no, that boy going to jail.
Carmelo Anthony's going to go to jail.
Carmelo going to jail. Because listen, you cannot bring a weapon to school.
Yeah.
So you can't say I was
What if he says self-defense?
There's no self-defense, because if you are afraid the day before, where you have to take a weapon to school, why not notify your parents? Parents, you notify the school teacher. School teacher that's bringing these kids in here and resolve this issue. Is called conflict resolution. We was taught in homes that has morals and values, you tell the teacher. Somebody fucking with you, you tell the teacher. Let the teachers know, so when y'all have an altercation, you're cleared and you're covered. Documentation beats conversation. So words of documentation just say this is self-defense. It's a premeditated crime because you took a weapon in fear. Anticipate to use it.
That was premeditated, though.
And it's at a track meet. You getting ready to run track with other kids and you got a knife on you. No, man, you got to go to jail. You got to go. So when is it all right to kill the bully? I don't give a fuck what the bully did. He don't have a right to die.
No.
Man, you weak man. That's why I say teach the kids how to deal with bullies, and this won't happen. We're all not equal. Even in nature, you can be feeding a flock of birds. There's going to always be one bird to come in and take the food from the... This is nature. Yeah. You cannot get rid of bullies. Teach the kids how to deal with them. Bullies build character. You go to work, it's going to be a bully supervisor, a bully co-worker. You cannot get rid of the bully. Teach our children conflict resolution. Everything don't have to end in violence. But when you come from the black culture, everything is disputed in violence.
Yeah. That is the problem, though.
It's the culture.
That's the culture. That's how they solve. When you have a serious issue, they don't even contemplate trying to talk it out.
We teach a no snitching rule, right? So our kids are walking around with these mafia rules, codes, and ethics of the streets that's held over children about no snitching. So now I have to take a weapon because I don't want to be a snitch and kill another kid. It's a simple solution. Don't tell the teacher. Tell your parents.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution.
I know, but
tell, motherfucker, tell.
But it sounds crazy. I know it sounds so easy, but the thing is, even for the criminal, the guy that would commit an assault, if you stop him before he does the assault, then they don't have to go to jail as long. You know what I mean?
This is not that kid's first time grabbing a weapon, because most kids who grab a weapon from the first time don't kill people.
Yeah, of course. You bring a gun a couple times before you shoot it.
And if I was being bullied, and I'm in self-defense, even though he have an undeveloped brain and he's impulsive, why run?
I don't know.
Why get rid of the knife? You're showing criminal intent. Why throw the knife away where they can't find it? He wasn't found with the knife in his pocket. He wasn't sitting down with the knife in his hand, ready to explain what happened.
So, but do you think that he had some sort of predisposition to wanting to murder? Is that what you're saying? Is that
No. Children don't wake up to kill because they don't have the brain capacity, the brain development to say, I want somebody dead. Children are impulsive.
Yeah.
This was a tragic incident where a kid who don't have emotional intelligence acted impulsively because he comes from a culture that promotes, propagates violence. Every day, all day, kill, kill, die, nigga, shoot, kill, kill. You can't take this in and you lack training. You lack morals. You have to have a foundation of a value system to listen to this type of shit all day long, and you don't have no emotional intelligence where you've been taught to say, man, when you get angry, think.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath. So he was anticipating this to happen.
Especially as a young man. We understand women overly emotional and impulsive, but especially as a young man.
That's why he had the knife, and we had this outcome. He didn't want to kill nobody.
I don't think.
And I want to say this too. I gotta add this in here. Well, no, I'm gonna let this play. What I'm about to play now is a lawyer that's actually from Texas. He gonna give his name, his credentials, and everything. And I want y'all to listen to what he says about this Austin Metcalf, Carmelo Anthony situation. Very, very interesting.
With his single mother.
I want to address the Carmelo Anthony case and the stand your ground law. I'm Shane Krauser, a former violent crimes prosecutor out of Phoenix, Arizona, where I worked with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office in both the gang and the homicide units. After retiring as a prosecutor,
My mistake, he from Phoenix. He from Arizona, not Texas. My mistake.
Worked as a partner with the firm where I consulted on cases where we represented the accused. Now, there is a lot of bad information going around by people thinking that Carmelo Anthony has a legitimate self-defense claim around the stand your ground law. Another way of understanding or thinking about stand your ground is recognizing that the good guy has no duty to retreat against the bad guy. Texas does indeed have a law that says one can stand their ground, but Carmelo Anthony has two very real problems in his attempt to be successful at this claim. First, let's briefly recap the case. Carmelo shows up at a track meet and eventually makes his way to a tent occupied by a team that he is not a part of. Austin Metcalf, the victim in this case, asks Carmelo to leave the area. That evolves into a confrontation where Austin apparently pushes Carmelo in an attempt to get him to leave the area. At this point, Carmelo retrieves a knife and stabs Austin. Again, there are two glaring issues with the potential stand your ground claim for Carmelo. First, Carmelo was in an area where he was not permitted. One cannot enter a person's home and in turn claim that they are resisting a beatdown when they had no right to be there in the first place. In this case, by all accounts, Carmelo brought the fight to an area he had no right to be in. Second, even if Austin pushed Carmelo and Carmelo was relying on a stand your ground claim in response to the shove, Carmelo is only permitted to reciprocate in kind. Physical force in response to physical force. Carmelo is not justified in stabbing Austin with the knife when the force directed at Carmelo was physical in nature and not deadly. I believe Carmelo is headed to prison. His self-defense claim will fall flat and a jury will convict him, and rightfully so. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments. I want to spend a moment addressing the Carmelo Anthony self-defense claim. My name is Shane Krauser. I'm a former violent crimes prosecutor with the Maricopa County Attorney's Office in Phoenix, Arizona, where I spent time in both our gang and homicide units. I also spent time as a partner with the firm in Arizona, where I work cases from a criminal defense perspective. Now, let me cut right to the chase. We only have the information reported by the media and then some information or commentary provided by members of both of the families. There could be more information presented at some point in the future.
But in light of everything presented at the moment, Carmelo Anthony is guilty of murder and will be convicted by a jury. Quite frankly, this case is about as clear as they come. Carmelo is an athlete who shows up at a track meet and eventually makes his way to a tent occupied by a team that he is not a part of. Austin Metcalf, the victim in this case, asked Carmelo to leave. That evolves into a confrontation where Austin apparently pushes Carmelo in an attempt to get Carmelo to move along. At this point, Carmelo retrieves a knife and stabs Austin. There is no self-defense claim here, none whatsoever based on the information we have. Justification that would allow the use of deadly force by Carmelo requires that he reasonably believe that using or threatening to use such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or serious physical injury to himself. By all accounts, Austin pushed Carmelo. The maximum level of force Carmelo could use under these circumstances, if any at all, is physical force. There is no size disparity. There is no presentation of a weapon by Austin. In fact, even if Austin had hit Carmelo, Carmelo is still only justified in responding with physical force. Generally speaking, here is the law. Where unjustifiable physical force is threatened or used, one may only respond with physical force. Where the unjustifiable threat or use of deadly force is presented, one may respond with deadly force. This is not a race issue. This is a justification issue, and the skin color of those involved is irrelevant. Again, by all accounts, Carmelo was not dealing with any hint of the threat or use of deadly force whatsoever. He was not justified in stabbing Austin Metcalf. He is guilty of murder, and he will go to prison. What are your thoughts? I'd love to hear them in the comments.
Nah, I mean, I can't make it no clearer than that. I know some of y'all may say, well, who is this guy? He gave his name, his credentials, go look him up. I did. He official. But I will say this here. Carmelo made a big mistake, man. He a young man, bro, coming up in a woman-led house, even though the man is there, because we know all two-parent households, especially in this day and age, a lot of these mama's boys is raising families. And, they mama's boys, they subservient to the woman by default because that's who raised them. The grandma and the mama raised them, so they end up being subservient to women by default. They get married and they just be the little boy with a penis. But anyway, so as I talked about the household that Carmelo raised in and why he's impulsive and overly emotional about something so simple, he made a big mistake. And that's why I feel sorry for the young man. He made a big mistake and his life gonna forever be affected by that. I just pray mercy. I just pray God have mercy on him like he had mercy on all of us when we made mistakes. Unfortunately, the Metcalf family will never see their son again. And everybody know he gonna get convicted. This is why that county put a black woman judge on that case. And the reason why they put a black woman judge on that case is, for one, we all know this ain't, and again, I'm not picking at the black woman because I love her, but we all know that the black woman is beyond reproach in America. Nobody can say anything to her about her, whether you're black, white, nobody can say nothing to her. Her skin and her gender was picked specifically for a reason, because she's going to have to rule this case and she's going to have to make a judgment on this case according to the law, and we know what's going to happen, and nobody's going to be able to say it was racism. Nobody's going to be able to say anything because this is a black woman and you can't say nothing to a black woman. So that's why they made sure it was a black woman on his case, because everybody knows what's going to be the end game in this situation. But I want to say this. This is what I do want to add. I want to add this. Let's just say he beat that case. Let's just say, because witness accounts going to be intricate in this. Witness accounts, you know what I'm saying? But like they say, because if witness accounts come forward and say, well, hey, Austin Metcalf and his twin brother was jumping Carmelo, like I say, it's some witness account. We know nobody never heard nothing from the witnesses. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a smoking gun in this case too, if something like that happened. But I'm going to say this here, and this strictly to my black people. I want to say this here, and I want y'all to stay with me. I want you to understand this. Leave your feelings at the door, and I want you to really tune in and listen to what I'm about to say. If he beat this case, we setting a very dangerous precedent that's going to affect black people more than anybody. What do you mean, Vernon? If he beat this case, it's going to set a precedent that means not a president like the president of the United States, but a precedent. It's going to set a legal, that's a legal term for a new, I'm trying to find a word. I can't, just look up precedent, meaning it's a new standard. Yeah, new legal standard that has been set. That says if you're bullied on school property with a knife in somebody else's backyard or wherever you at, if you're bullied, you can kill somebody. And I can promise you, black people, that's going to affect you more than affect anybody else. Y'all already killing each other like flies. I remember in 2020 when all the BLM riot was going on over George Floyd, and a lot of black people was pushing the defund the police thing. And I was telling them, I said, it's a bad idea. I said, because if the police get defunded, which actually happened in certain parts of America, what's going to happen is a lot of police pay going to get affected and police going to start leaving the force. Not to mention that they were so over scrutinized, a lot of police just retired or got their pension and left and got another career. And the majority of police departments across the United States are shorthanded. So if they shorthanded, who's that going to hurt more than anybody? I told them, I say, black communities, the inner city need the police more than anybody. So when the police get defunded and they start getting shorthanded, that's going to affect y'all. They didn't listen. And because of that, violence rose in black communities. Go look at the numbers from 2020 to now in communities where police was shorthanded after all that 2020 George Floyd foolishness. Those areas rose a lot in crime. Because I know for a fact, I done seen situations where the police would call in my area and it take them forever to get there because they so shorthand, right? So violence rose in black community. And why did I bring it up again? As I mentioned, if this happened and Carmelo beat this case with a self-defense verdict, a whole bunch of children that's been bullied for years and being bullied, that's going to give them the license to kill. And I can tell you now, that's going to affect black people more than affect anybody. So if that's the hill y'all want to die on supporting Carmelo because he killed the white boy, yeah, I'm glad. I hope he gets self-defense. If that's the hill y'all want to die on, that's fine. But if you got children that go to school, I suggest that you put a life insurance policy on them and have a little stash on the side in case they end up killing somebody. Because guess what? That precedent is going to be set. And if I kill somebody, all I got to do is say they was bullying, have somebody witness it, and I'm going to beat that charge. I ain't got nothing else to say, man. I thank y'all for listening to me. God bless, and I'm out.